Good evening. A man is dead after a brazen daylight shooting in Mississauga. Witnesses report more than a dozen shots fired in the parking lot of a plaza near the airport.
Homicide investigators are now trying to determine why the victim was gunned down. CTV's Janice Golding is live at the scene. Janice, what have you learned?
Hi, Nathan. Well, a pretty terrifying afternoon for people who are here in this Mississauga industrial complex over the lunch hour after more than a dozen shots rang out in the parking lot behind us.
I cannot count how many shots, but it was so many, 14, 15. He was here on his back completely.
This witness says it was around lunchtime when he heard the gunfire.
Just I was standing at the door, I heard the firing, and it completed almost 15, 16 rounds.
The shooting taking place in the parking lot of a plaza across the street with plenty of people around at the time.
From the next plaza, the guy was trying to help them out, so he brought the paper, so he just wanted to stop the bleeding.
The gunfire sending shockwaves through people who work in the area.
The shots was like within an interval, like I would say like 5-6 shots, pause. Then again 5-6 shots.
When we saw outside, it was a group of people running around and we saw that it was gunshot.
Police say it was just before 12 when they were called to the area of Telford Way and Tranmere Drive in Mississauga.
Police arrived, located an adult male victim with obvious signs of trauma. That male was rendered CPR by emergency services. He was transported to a local hospital where he has since succumbed to his injuries.
While many of the shots struck the victim, one bullet flew across the street and through the window of a law firm.
After the police came, they just found that bullet just behind my chair. Yeah.
And I mean, how close, if you were sitting at your desk, how close would that bullet have been to you?
Maybe I was not standing here right now.
The safety of those who work in the area now top of mind.
I think it's the place is not safe anymore.
He was right there with this truck, the black truck. Okay. So he was next to the truck on the ground.
While police say they can't confirm details at this point, witnesses say the man was standing outside his truck when he was shot. Some even telling CTV News they saw a car approach the man before the shooting. In fact, CTV News can confirm that we have seen video of what appears to be a black Dodge Charger approaching the victim in the moments before the shooting. At this point, police have not released any suspect descriptions. Reporting live from Janice Golding, now back to Michelle.
Thanks, Janice. Still to come, one of the busiest subway stops in the city is on track for a new name. We'll explain why and what it means for one of Toronto's universities. Just ahead.
Saying he doesn't need any more shoes and it's time to diversify his wardrobe, Ontario's finance minister went shopping this afternoon, picking out a new tie ahead of his presentation of the provincial budget tomorrow.
The province set to show its financial plans as the premier signs a trade deal with his counterpart from Manitoba. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight with more. Siobhan.
Well, diversifying our trade partners is part of the deal when it comes to dealing with U.S. tariffs. We'll see a heavy focus on responding to those tariffs in tomorrow's budget.
With the stroke of a marker, Manitoba becomes the third province to agree to break down trade barriers with Ontario.
Our two provinces already do approximately $19.5 billion of interprovincial trade every single year, but we can do better.
The goal is to ease the movement of labor and goods between the provinces, including with direct-to-consumer alcohol sales.
We're knocking down trade barriers, and we're building up Team Canada. Ontario, Manitoba, and everybody coming to the table. It's a great thing to see.
More trade across this country is part of the strategy to deal with U.S. tariffs. Those tariffs are going to shape what we see in Thursday's Ontario budget.
We can always balance a year or two, but what scares me are governments that go in there and start slashing and burning.
We know the spending plan will include locking in a cut to the gas tax, taking tolls off Highway 407 between Pickering and Clarington, and expanding a manufacturing tax credit.
It's going to be about building our province, creating more jobs, more opportunities, making ourselves more competitive, putting money back into people's pockets, supporting businesses.
The opposition sees the budget as a test for meeting the moment.
We want to see the government talk about how we're going to build new supply chains, how we're going to tariff-proof our province. A lot of that also involves making sure that Ontarians have access to the best quality health care, the best schools.
The Liberals believe this is the moment for progressive Conservatives to make good on a 7-year-old promise to cut taxes for middle-income earners.
There is so much uncertainty that putting back more money in their pockets that they can control, it is the right thing to do.
All the opposition leaders agree one thing they'd like left out of the budget is a proposed tunnel under Highway 401.
When we have cheaper solutions to traffic, like paying the tolls for truckers on the 407, and we have such urgent needs.
CTV News has learned tomorrow's budget will include a proposal to remove more bike lanes on Queen's Park Crescent and on Avenue Road. That's in addition to a plan to remove bike lanes on parts of Bloor, Yonge and University. That plan is still being challenged in the courts. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Time now for a check on the forecast. Here's a live look at the city. Conditions are cloudy but comfortable tonight. There's a slight chance of rain, but that shouldn't impact your evening if you have plans to head out tonight. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Well, not only do we have some cloud, Nathan, but we've got some sun in areas too. Well, what a turnaround this afternoon compared to the very cloudy, somewhat foggy start to the day today. It's been very nice through the afternoon and now early part of the evening. And we're at the warmest point of the day right now. It is 21 degrees at Pearson Airport, 16 at the Toronto Islands. We've been dealing with an east wind today, keeping some lakeshore communities cool once again, but overall still quite comfortable. Let's take a look at your Maple Leaf Square forecast for tonight. I know fans will be out there, rain or shine, but conditions will be quite pleasant this evening. We'll take a full look at your weather forecast coming up. For now, though, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Well, let's talk about those Leafs. With their series tied at 2 games apiece, the Toronto Maple Leafs got in an optional skate this morning ahead of tonight's Game 5 against the Florida Panthers.
The Leafs and their fans hoping to reverse the direction the series has gone after the team lost the last 2 games after taking an early 2-game lead. CTV Sean Leathong is live in Maple Leaf Square tonight among an excited crowd of fans hoping for a win tonight. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, I'm trying to keep the fans calm tonight because we want them to do most of their cheering during the game. Now, one person I want to talk to is you get to see some of the younger fans. This is 11-year-old Choo Choo. How are you feeling about the game?
Nervous.
Who is going to win?
Toronto.
That's the right answer. Okay. Now, fans like him have been here all day. They're loving this, and I talked to a few earlier who said there is no nerves because they believe we've got Game 5.
With the Leafs home for Game 5, there's a different feeling in the city.
I think it's a must-win tonight.
The Leafs have lost a lot of momentum, these past couple of games.
For Florida, 1 for Toronto, scores!
The last time they were on home ice, the team was up 2-0 in the series with momentum on their side. 2 games later, it's Florida with momentum having evened the series. When asked about his team's readiness for Game 5, Coach Craig Berube's response has become something of a mantra.
Business-like, ready to go. Looking forward to the challenge tonight. Excited to play.
And the Leafs players are hoping a return home will turn the tide after dropping 2 games in Florida.
Yeah, I feel like we've responded all playoffs long, frankly, whether it's through a series or throughout a game. I think our resilience has been some volume. Composure's been good, so I don't expect that to change. That's what you work for, to playing these 6 games and get to this point in the season in the series, so excited about it.
For the Panthers, having won the Stanley Cup just last season, there is a calm that comes from Coach Paul Maurice.
This is where we're supposed to be.
And Game 5s are often pivotal. In NHL history, the winner of Game 5, when the series is tied 2-2, has gone on to win nearly 80% of the time.
So you can feel the fans here. Let's hear it, guys. How are you feeling? These fans are ready to go. They believe that the team will win tonight, and this will be going on for the next hour or so until the game starts at 7 o'clock. Puck drop. We could see some new players in the lineup tonight. We know David Kampf, who hasn't played since April 2nd, didn't participate in the morning skate today. That usually means they may be in the lineup, and Nick Robertson may be in the lineup for the Leafs tonight as he didn't stay out too late after the morning skate as well. We'll see in a little less than an hour. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, hope the fans are right. Thank you, Sean. The TTC board has given unanimous approval to the idea of renaming Dundas Station.
The plan would involve a partnership with the nearby Toronto Metropolitan University and see the station called TMU Station. CTV's Mike Walker has more.
When the subway rolls into Dundas Station in the near future, it will be under a new name, after the TTC board unanimously greenlighting a name change to TMU Station.
Do support what they're doing. I feel a little strange, honestly. I feel like I'd be like, oh, that's probably not my stop.
I don't like the name. I like Dundas more because I'm familiar.
Toronto Metropolitan University will cover the cost for the name change that the TTC estimates will cost $1.5 million.
This is a good partnership. This will create real long-term benefits to both our customers and the city and to TMU.
The report states the change reflects the evolution of the neighborhood and growing campus.
We have over 50,000 members of our community that are commuters. For them to have a recognition, it's a great initiative.
As part of the deal, the university is proposing a research hub it dubs the Transit Innovation Yard, an 18-month pilot program that will focus on emerging technologies to help the TTC tackle some issues.
We just put a call for proposal for our researchers and our startup community, and we got large number of proposals.
It's an opportunity for us to innovate, get research under our belt that can actually improve the rider experience to make it safer, more efficient, more customer friendly.
This follows the renaming of Young Dundas Square to Sankofa Square after numerous studies found that Henry Dundas, the square's namesake, was involved in delaying the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. Today, the board hearing opposition from advocates.
Dundas Station is culturally and historically significant,
including descendants of Henry Dundas, who were urging for more public consultation.
We'll get ambushed by this announcement late on Monday that there's one chance to say something. That is not public consultation.
The chair insisting there have been opportunities at previous meetings.
To be clear, the TTC is not taking any position on Henry Dundas. We are solely responding to the request that was brought forward to us from council.
Work will begin immediately behind the scenes for the name change, but it could take a year before riders notice a difference. Mike Walker, CTV News.
Still ahead, getting down to business. Prime Minister Mark Carney meets his newly appointed cabinet and lays out the country's most pressing priorities.
Toronto police say there was a 19% increase in reported hate crimes last year. There were 443 reported hate crimes in 2024 compared to 372 the year before. Police say there was an 84% increase in the number of people charged with hate crimes compared to 2023. 115 people were charged in total last year, up from 63 in 2023. 209 hate-motivated criminal charges were laid in 2024, an increase from 156 the year before. And there's been a 47% decrease in reported hate crimes so far in 2025 compared to the same time last year.
A 68-year-old Newmarket man has been sentenced to house arrest after 3 of his dogs attacked a 9-year-old girl back in July of 2023. It happened at a home on Jackson Court. The girl and her father were visiting to view puppies for sale. York Regional Police say 3 bulldog-type dogs rushed out of the home and attacked the girl without provocation, causing her serious injuries. Yesterday, Leslie Theodore Kovacs pleaded guilty to criminal negligence causing bodily harm and 3 counts under the Ontario Dog Owners Liability Act. He was sentenced to 1 year of house arrest, 15 months probation, a $5,000 fine, and a lifetime ban on owning a dog. The dogs involved in the attack were surrendered to Animal Services and were euthanized.
To Mississauga next, where parents say their concerns over student safety at one middle school aren't being addressed.
They allege their children have been bullied for years, and staff, administrators, and the board haven't done enough to stop it. CTV's Beth McDonnell reports.
I actually sent an email last week to.
These moms are so worried about their children, they don't want to show their faces on camera. It's all because they allege bullying has been occurring for years at Erin Center Middle School in Mississauga.
Nothing is being dealt with. Yeah, there's no supervision at all.
This mom says her daughter in grade 6 had her hijab ripped off in the washroom. Another time, boys pushed her on stairs, causing her to fall and hit her head. And when she complained of a headache after the fact, it was brushed off by a teacher.
She had a concussion. I had to keep her home for a day. And then I looked at, she's like, okay, she might be okay. So she had a minor concussion. And right when she went back to school again with the bullying, oh, you have a concussion, or you're, unfortunately the kids would say you're mentally retarded, you're this, you're that, and they said a lot of disgusting things.
Other parents say their children have faced verbal and physical harassment even after officials have been made aware.
Some of them were holding his feet, his hands up to the ground. They threw him to the ground, and the other kids were beating him. Like to his stomach, to his face, his head, kicking him.
Everywhere from fat and making fun of her nose. And they said to her that you deserve to be called every name in the book. We don't want children to get suspended, but if that's what it takes for kids to say, oh, you know what, I cannot behave this way because there are consequences, that's what we'd like to see.
This spring, 65 parents signed a letter to the Peel District School Board writing, "The frequent staff turnover and the escalating incidents involving students have created an environment of instability and distress for both students and parents, and that the school has fallen into chaos." After the letter in March, parents say they met in person with a senior member of the school board at the beginning of April. But so far, most of the problems remain unresolved. In a statement, the board says any incidents brought forward are reviewed thoroughly and in accordance with board policies, adding, "We recognize the importance of trust in our schools and understand that families may feel concerned when challenges arise. Ensuring the safety and dignity of students remains our top priority, and we will continue to work with school leaders, families, and communities to address concerns in a timely and appropriate manner."
They're very disappointed.
Maureen Kahn has a child at the school and has been supporting struggling families. She says many children are now missing classes because of the school environment.
We send our kids to school to feel safe, to feel happy, and to learn, and that's not happening here. So I want the board, the administration office to be held accountable.
The board tells CTV video surveillance cameras were installed about a month ago in the hopes of making Erin Centre Middle School a safer place for all. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
To Ottawa, where the Prime Minister says his new cabinet will act quickly to bring Canadians economic relief in these uncertain times.
Today, Mark Carney signed a directive that prioritizes passing legislation for a middle-class tax cut. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
It's my pleasure on behalf of the Cabinet to sign this order to deliver that tax cut. Thank you very much.
With a stroke of a pen, the Prime Minister ordered his government to deliver a middle-class tax cut by Canada Day by reducing the lowest income tax rate by 1%.
The first order of business of the first cabinet of the new government under Prime Minister Carney was to offer to Canadian a middle-class tax cut. A very significant step that will benefit 22 million Canadians across the nation.
When Parliament resumes, the Liberal government will table legislation that aims to save a two-income family up to $840 a year, a campaign promise estimated to cost $28 billion over 5 years. The government has just 20 scheduled days in the upcoming session of Parliament to pass the bill.
And I think we're going to see our government run like a corporation, which I think is long overdue.
With 170 elected MPs, the Liberals need to find at least 2 more members from other parties to vote with them.
We expect other parliamentarians to support, obviously, the government, because this is about Canadians. We are in a dire situation.
The other big priority is to eliminate federal barriers to provincial trade by July 1st. That won't compensate for lost revenue from U.S. tariffs, but it could add $200 billion to the Canadian economy each year.
We need it right now, and I really believe this is a moment we can get it done. Internal trade has become sexy. It has. I know, it's funny, but yet true.
On May 26, Parliament will resume. Then a day later, King Charles will deliver the throne speech to outline the government's priorities. Priorities which do not include outlining a budget. Instead, the finance minister says to expect a fall economic statement later this year. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister will leave for Rome on Friday. Mark Carney set to attend Pope Leo's inaugural Mass at St. Peter's Square. It begins at 10 a.m. local time on Sunday. The tradition of the Catholic Church will mark the official start of the pontiff's term. The PM will also meet with other world leaders during the trip to talk about strengthening trade and cultural ties.
In the Gaza Strip, local health authorities say Israeli strikes killed at least 70 Palestinians across the territory today. Medics said most of the casualties occurred in attacks on houses in the Jabalia area. Israel's military said it was trying to verify the reports. Meanwhile, aid groups and international agencies say Gaza is on the brink of famine. And today, Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister had a message for Israel.
We cannot allow the continued use of food as a political tool. The Prime Minister has been very clear about that. Over 50,000 people have died as a result of the aggression caused against the Palestinian and the Gazan people in Palestine. And using food as a political tool is simply unacceptable.
Israel has sealed off the Gaza Strip since early March and resumed its military campaign. It followed the collapse of a ceasefire, during which thousands of aid trucks entered the enclave. Anita Anand also urged further work on a ceasefire and a two-state solution.
Donald Trump sat down with Syria's interim president, the first such meeting between leaders of the two countries in 25 years.
We are currently exploring normalizing relations with Syria's new government, as you know, beginning with my meeting with President Ahmed al-Shara and Secretary Rubio's meeting with the Syrian foreign minister in Turkey after discussing the situation with Crown Prince Mohammed and President Erdogan of Turkey. I am also ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria to give them a fresh start. It gives them a chance for greatness.
The meeting represents a major turn of events for Syria, which is still adjusting after over 50 years of iron rule by the Assad family. Today's meeting took place in Saudi Arabia on the sidelines of a gathering of the Gulf Cooperation Council. Later, Trump traveled to Qatar, where he signed a series of economic and defense deals with the country's ruling emir.
They help cancer patients prevent hair loss during chemotherapy, proving effective at easing one of the hardships of treatment. Coming up, the calls for cooling caps to be covered.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, if you drive in the GTA, the 407 highway can't save you time for a price. That's why a woman was happy to get a promotion to use the highway for free. But she was shocked to get a bill for almost $1,800. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
Well, we are looking at another mild overnight tonight. Temperatures remaining in the double digits, in fact, in the mid-teens in many parts of southern Ontario. So that will make it a comfortable start to tomorrow, but it is expected to be cloudy, a little foggy as well. Be aware of that if you're venturing out on the roads early. And we do have a chance of showers followed by some clearing. We're going to take you through the long weekend forecast coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
The Ontario government announced drivers will be able to use the eastern portion of the 407 at no charge starting June 1st.
The toll highway does save you time, but at a cost. It's why a woman was pleased when she won a promotion to use the toll road for free. Pat Foran has the story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. The 407 had a lottery and winners were allowed to drive on the highway for 2 months at no charge. But a woman who was using the toll road was shocked to get a bill for $1,800, and the reason she was charged may surprise you. The 407 ETR is a time saver, but if you use it daily, those toll charges can really add up. That's why Caitlin Harivna of Hamilton was thrilled to win a lottery promotion that allowed her to drive on the 407 for free for 2 months in December and January.
Lucky enough, I got it, and that was wonderful, and I was able to use it, and getting home was exponentially faster.
Harivna enjoyed the promotion, but in March she was shocked to receive a bill stating she owed the toll road almost $1,800. She was charged $330 for tolls and other fees, but she was also charged more than $1,500 for having an unrecognizable plate.
Each day that I used the 407, my vehicle plate was unreadable, and they went back and tacked on every time I used it.
This is Harivna's car. We blurred part of her license plate, but as you can see, she was using a dark-colored cover that is considered illegal in Ontario. It's a story we've done before. Even though you're not supposed to use license plate covers, you can buy these in-store and online. This tinted black gray cover even comes with fine print that says may not be legal to use in some provinces.
It felt like an honest mistake became something that now I have to work exceptionally hard to try to pay down. I removed the plate cover completely. I haven't driven with it since.
When we reached out to 407 ETR, a spokesperson said license plate covers can pose a readability challenge for our gantry systems, which capture and process plate images. It's important for drivers to be aware unreadable license plates, as well as those with license plate covers, are a violation of the Highway Traffic Act. After we contacted the 407, they agreed to review Harivna's case and decided to forgive the bill of almost $1,800, which was great news for her.
Thank you, CTV News, for helping me out with my $2,000 407 bill. Without your help, I don't think I would be stress-free today.
And it's not just plate covers that pose a problem for toll roads and red light cameras. Peeling license plates are also an issue. You can have them replaced for free if they're 5 years old or less. Over 5 years, you must pay a $59 replacement fee. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, just in time for the long weekend, Bike Share Toronto is expanding to the Toronto Islands starting on Friday. The service is launching with 250 bikes located at 4 stations, one each at Hanlan's Ferry Dock, Hanlan's Beach, Ward's Ferry Dock, and Centre Island Dock. A new station has also been added at the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal. The Toronto Parking Authority says to ensure availability, island bikes, which will be identified with a decal, must be docked at island stations. And oh boy, long weekend's a nice time to go for a ride on the island. The hope is that the weather cooperates.
Yeah, I'm thinking any activity is good, but going on a bike, it's always a lot of fun.
It is, and we're now well into spring. This weekend marks the unofficial start of summer. So yeah, I think conditions are going to be good for getting out on riding a bicycle, not just this weekend, but perhaps over the next couple of days here. Some improvements, generally speaking, less rain in the forecast, more sunshine, and some pretty warm temperatures starting tomorrow. First, though, I want to show you what it looked like a little bit earlier today. This is time-lapse video from the top of the CN Tower. That was some low cloud blowing its way across our city. The skyscrapers caught up in it, but by the afternoon, a lot of that cloud had cleared, and we were enjoying some sunshine. Before I talk more about our local forecast, I just want to bring you up to speed on what's happening in northwestern Ontario and southern Manitoba. It has been hot. There have been air quality advisories across Manitoba thanks to wildfires that are now burning out of control in some cases. Rainfall warnings have been issued. That is hopefully going to bring an end to some of that fire activity. And it is cooler today in places like Winnipeg, in Red Lake. It's still near 30 degrees this hour in Crane Lake, and it's still quite mild in places like Timmins, for example, 25 at this hour. Not as warm in southern Ontario, but not bad either. 21 is where we stand right now in the city of Toronto. And overnight tonight, we're going to drop to a low near 14 degrees, expecting variable cloudiness or mostly cloudy skies and maybe a little bit of fog overnight and into tomorrow morning. By the afternoon, though, we are going to say, for the most part, goodbye to the chance of showers. Better chance of that happening tomorrow morning, much like every day this week. And then a mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon. Daytime high, 22 degrees. Humidex, 25. And look at this, it's going to feel closer to 30 in places like Kincardine and Stratford. 24 is what we're forecasting in Vaughan. A little cooler in Oakville at 17 degrees. And then there's Haliburton. I want to talk about the risk of thunderstorms as we make our way through until Friday. Here's the current satellite and radar imagery. Lots of clearing happening across the southwest. We've got pockets of sunshine around the city of Toronto. And we are finally saying goodbye to this low that has been soaking parts of New York City today. For the most part, this is exiting. Scattered showers are possible, but let me pause this a couple of times to show you. There's our cloudy and foggy potentially start for tomorrow. There's the clearing for your Thursday afternoon. A heads up, overnight and into Friday morning, we're looking at a line of thunderstorms rolling through. Severe in nature, likely for the extreme southwest, weakening as it makes its way into our neck of the woods. But don't be too surprised if you hear some rumbles of thunder, see some flashes of lightning in the early morning hours on Friday. Nocturnal thunderstorms thunderstorms is what we refer to as Mother Nature's alarm clock, and you might be hearing that. Then, as the day goes on Friday, more in the way of sunshine. We're going to hold on to the chance of showers into your Saturday, but it's just a chance at this point. We're looking at quite a bit of sunshine, especially into Sunday. Beautiful clearing, but look at the temperature difference. 15 for the high, 17 is what we're forecasting at this point for your Victoria Day Monday. That's the weather for now. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, what's old is new again. How the Stanley Cup playoffs are helping a Canadian rock mega hit from the 70s score an all-new audience.
More than 75% of cancer patients say hair loss is the most feared side effect of their treatment.
Scalp cooling techniques can greatly reduce hair loss, but while it's covered in many countries, it isn't in Ontario. Our health reporter Pauline Chan has more.
45-year-old Katerina Zanuck walks out of her chemotherapy into another chair for what she calls a vital part of her breast cancer treatment, and she remembers being told that chemo would be needed.
It was on my birthday, 6 February, and I cry because I'm now all people who do chemo lost hair. For me, it's so hard.
But she's been able to keep most of her hair thanks to a scalp cooling system used in several hospitals around Ontario. It lowers the scalp temperature, reducing the amount of toxic chemicals reaching the hair root by 30%.
And what that does is constricts the blood vessels that is carrying the chemotherapy, and it cools the hair root, the hair follicle.
Harry Goodman recalls the sorrow his wife Esther felt as their young grandson wouldn't hug her because he didn't recognize her after she lost her hair to chemotherapy.
So we must make this accessible. You know, 10% of patients are refusing chemotherapy because they're worried that either their hair won't grow back or that their hair will fall out.
Katerina is completing her 12th and final round of chemotherapy, and she's grateful she's been able to keep her hair. But she'd like to see OHIP cover the cost, which ranges in the thousands of dollars depending on the number of sessions.
If you think about how much money is spent on giving treatment to a person with cancer, you know, the visits, the drugs, the operations, the radiation, this is like a drop in a bucket. Adina Eisenberg, who went through cancer treatment several years ago, remains grateful to the system's maker.
To this day, whenever I have a salon appointment, I send him a selfie and I say thank you. I wanted to look as much like myself as I could. And when somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, we feel a complete loss of control.
But keeping one's appearance is an important way to maintain dignity and composure. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A historic attraction at Allen Gardens is welcoming visitors again following a lengthy restoration project. Mayor Olivia Chow helped reopen Palm House in the conservatory today. The building, which is more than 100 years old and is home to a wide array of plants, was closed in 2022 while crews made improvements. The work included window glazing and modernizing the air quality and ventilation systems.
The Art Gallery of Ontario is filled with historic paintings and sculptures dating back hundreds of years.
But the gallery itself is celebrating a special milestone this year. CTV's Jessica Smith has more.
Founded in 1900 by a group of local artists and citizens, the Art Gallery of Ontario is one of the oldest and largest galleries in the province.
125 years ago, a woman named Harriet Bolton Smith donated her house and her front yard, which we know is Grange Park today, to the City of Toronto, and it started as the Art Museum of Toronto.
Then taking on its current namesake, the Art Gallery of Ontario in the early 1900s, with each decade bringing change.
Every 20 years or so, we expand and we make sure that we're relevant and meaningful to the people of Toronto today.
A home for art in every form, in every room, designed to make you think, feel, and reflect.
I guess it inspires a lot more questions than answers. It makes you think a lot.
To mark the special birthday comes an edition of a keenly Canadian collection.
There's a major show this summer called Joyce Wieland, Hardown, which is a beautiful exhibition by an artist who's from Toronto who many people aren't familiar with anymore.
Stepping into the next 125 years as a space with something for everyone from every generation.
I love it. It's really great, and I've been coming here since I was a kid, and it's always new and it's always interesting.
Oh, we love the AGO, the Indigenous art and the Group of Seven and everything. It's just impressive.
The celebration for the Art Gallery of Ontario's 125th birthday continue right throughout the summer with special programming. For more information, you can visit ago.ca or follow them on social media. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
It was a chart-topping hit by a Canadian band back in 1979.
And now, more than 40 years later, it's being introduced to a new generation thanks to a promo running during the Stanley Cup playoffs. CTV's Andrea Case has the story.
When the Canadian rock band Triumph released the song Lay It on the Line in 1979, it was a global hit, sang back to them in stadiums all around the world.
We got very pumped up for concerts. I mean, what we would do is we were kind of like a sports team as a band because we were only 3 musicians. We knew there was no place to hide. Nobody could take a break. There was no snooze fest happening when we went on stage. It was like full-on body contact from day one. And that sounds funny for a musician to say that, but that was kind of our mentality. You got to remember, we were playing in arenas that were sports arenas, that were sports venues. So we would be in the dressing room, and sometimes we'd be in the Philadelphia Flyers dressing room, or, you know, the Toronto Maple Leafs dressing room, or whatever. And, you know, that was how we would get kind of revved up, is thinking about the big game. And our big game was a concert, of course.
But now people are singing it in living rooms and bars across the country as they watch the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and it is played in a Rogers commercial.
It's a thrill for the band. I mean, we're just kind of knocked out. And, of course, you know, my cell phone lights up like a pinball machine every playoff game. For friends and people that maybe think I haven't seen it or whatever. You know, they're playing Triumph like the national anthem, and we're really grateful, you know, to Rogers and you know, to all the carriers of the shows and the NHL itself. It's just been a great experience for us.
Gil Moore was a drummer for the Canadian Music and Canada's Walk of Fame Toronto Trio, and now the owner of Metalworks, Canada's largest recording studio located in Mississauga. Now, after all these years of hits being recorded at his studio, his music is back on the charts.
It's amazing. I mean, I found out last week that Lay It on the Line was #1 in Canada. So, you know, a long time after it was released, but, you know, credit, you know, everyone's love of hockey. And somehow some of the lyrics that we had back in the day, which were positive, I guess, were good inspirational lyrics for getting pumped up before the big game. So we hope it keeps rolling.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
After the break, providing food for school kids after the bell. We highlight a volunteer initiative to help fill the need for families across the country throughout the summer.
I was standing at the door, I heard the firing, and it completed almost 15, 16 rounds. So I just ran out this guy to see what happened.
Updating our top stories, one man is dead after a brazen daylight shooting in Mississauga. It happened in the parking lot of a plaza near Telford Way and Tranmere Drive. The victim, believed to be in his 40s, has not been identified. Police have not given any suspect descriptions.
Our 2 provinces already do approximately $19.5 billion of interprovincial trade every single year, but we can do better.
Ontario and Manitoba have announced a new deal amid breaking down interprovincial trade barriers. The goal is to make it easier for goods and labor to move between the 2 provinces. The Ontario government will unveil its provincial budget tomorrow.
This is a good partnership. This will create real long-term benefits to both our customers and the city.
The TTC board voted unanimously to approve a new deal between the Transit Service and Toronto Metropolitan University that will see Dundas Station renamed TMU Station. As part of the deal, the university is proposing a research hub for emerging transit-related technologies.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
It isn't often that buyers have an edge, but in the Toronto real estate market right now, they do. BNN Bloomberg Mirella Fernandez has more.
It's a good time to be looking to buy a home in Toronto. In April, 66% of homes sold in Canada's biggest city went for less than listing price. Home sales last month were at their lowest level in 30 years, excluding the pandemic. There is a surge of sellers, and with some buyers sidelined by economic fears, those who are ready to make a purchase have more bargaining power. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is down today, hitting 71.55. West Texas Intermediate is down 57 cents to 62.68. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it up another $1.67 to 53.95. And the TSX is up 75 points today to 25,692. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
An army of volunteers came together this morning to help fight food insecurity in the GTA.
CTV's Raheem Ladani has more from a massive food sorting and packing drive in Mississauga.
It's easy to understand why these 1,300 volunteers are excited, knowing that with every food bag packed, they're helping feed children this summer.
This is going all across Canada, so east, west, north, everywhere. So this is really fantastic what we're doing.
When the school year ends, food programs also stop running. That's where the After the Bell program comes in. Food Banks Canada is hoping to pack 250,000 food bags during this two-day event and ship them to food insecure families in every province and territory.
We're seeing the highest level of food bank use ever in Canadian history. So out of those visits, that's about 700,000 visits for children alone. And that's why programs like this are so critically important.
What's really cool is that each of these 16 items that are going into the food kits have actually been kid approved. Food Banks Canada surveys the children to make sure that the mango shake, roasted edamame, and even the cheese dippers are all items that the kids like, they're nutritious, and they'll eat. While the focus of this initiative is feeding children, the type of people facing hunger is widespread. In Windsor, community members are relying more on food banks amid uncertainty in the auto industry.
We get hit hard when there are layoffs and we are not diverse, so it does make it really hard.
Food Banks Canada says in order for governments to build a stronger, more resilient Canadian economy, solving the hunger crisis needs to be made a priority.
We have 10 million people in Canada are food insecure. We can't build the future that we need. So we are asking for governments to invest in things like affordable housing, in income supports for folks.
While they address the immediate need, feeding people one bag at a time. Raheem Ladani, CTV News.
In sports, the Toronto Scepters will look to stave off elimination tonight in their semifinal series against Minnesota.
Izzy feeds it to Stackline. She scores!
Toronto lost 7-5 Sunday, giving the Frost a 2-1 series lead. So the Scepters must win this evening's game against the defending champions at the XL Centre in St. Paul. A deciding Game 5 is set for Saturday in Toronto if needed.
Meanwhile, the Scepters' Renata Fast is among 3 finalists for the PWHL's Defender of the Year. She had 6 goals and 16 assists this season, tied for the scoring lead among defenders. Fast also led the league in hits and total ice time. The winner of the award will be announced June 25th.
And he hits it high in the air, down the right field line, gone!
The Blue Jays were looking for their 5th straight victory last night, but a grand slam in the 9th inning gave Tampa an 11-9 win. Game 2 of the series goes tonight at Rogers Centre.
Also tonight, excitement is building in Leafs land. Young fans hoping to help fuel a Game 5 win with their school spirit. Plug your ears. We pay a visit to a rousing rally.
Well, as we showed you earlier, Leafs fans around the GTA are getting set to cheer on the Leafs.
And some young fans in the Beaches got the chance to get hyped before their school day ended. CTV's Allison Hurst has more.
Q Beach Junior Public School students cheer on the Leafs as they get set to take on the Florida Panthers at home for Game 5.
I really hope that they do the best because I really hope that the Panthers get destroyed.
Even before the Spirit Rally started, excitement levels were high.
I don't feel that nervous. I feel like the Leafs are going to win.
Sporting the team's colors and waving handmade signs. Hundreds of students cheered on the Buds, hoping home ice will give them the edge.
They're probably going to get a lot of good confidence and like cheering on.
The rally was led by kindergarten teacher Cassie D'Angelo.
It was louder and crazier than I even thought.
A former cheerleader herself from Dalhousie, she organized the cheers.
With everyone's help from the whole school, we got the gym ready and more than ready, like looking amazing in 2 days. And then I just pulled out some old cheers I had. I used to be a cheerleader and I couldn't have done it without all the kids being so excited.
Some of them even had something to say to the players ahead of tonight's matchup.
I want to say for him to do a great job and just roll with it. I want to tell the team to try their best.
There's a lot of confidence in the Buds.
I think they're going to dominate them. The Leafs might have a little more chances. We have amazing defense and amazing players with great sportsmanship.
And hopefully a win tonight.
Let's go Leafs!
Allison Hurst, CTV News.
So cute. Straight A's for all the kids.
Yes. Honestly, I like the Leafs' chances tonight. That spirit is definitely going to fuel them.
Yeah, that's the cheering squad we need. And I think many are now gathered at Maple Leaf Square as well. Conditions look good for the fans, spending some time outside. Temperatures in the upper teens or even low 20s right now. Here's the satellite and radar. A little bit of cloud. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to enjoy the sun again. It's going to start to feel a little bit warmer into the day on Friday as well. Forecast high 26. We're going to cool down over the weekend, but skies brighten up, especially into the day on Sunday. And conditions at this point look good for fireworks on your Victoria Day Monday. Michelle and Nathan.
I love to hear that. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Andrea Case with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night. Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go.
You wore your blue.
Yes.